That's why I've dedicated my life to teaching these things, because I feel sorry for the people that don't have this kind of experience.
Eustace Conway built a reputation as a man who rejected modern life and chose the wild. To viewers, he was fearless, disciplined, and free. But that image hid another reality. For more than 30 years, Conway lived two lives, one admired in public, the other marked by conflict and controversy. The truth stayed buried until it could not anymore.
And I remember there were times where I was very hungry and basically I didn't have any money and not much food. I went without food quite a bit to where you could stick your hand between my ribs.
Eustace Robinson Conway was born on September 15, 1961, in Columbia, South Carolina, to parents who valued education and nature. From his earliest days, the woods behind his home became his classroom. While other children played with toys, Eustace studied tracks, plants, and animal calls. "Nature wasn't something I visited. It was home," he once said. By the time he could walk, he already knew every path and tree by heart. At 12, he did something extraordinary. He spent an entire week alone in the woods, surviving only with what he could make or find. It wasn't a game. It was a test of courage and trust in himself. "Alone in the woods, I learned I could trust myself more than anything else," he later reflected. His parents encouraged this challenge, believing that true knowledge came from real experience. By 17, while most teens were focused on parties and cars, Eustace left home to live permanently in the forest. For 17 years, he lived in a self-built teepee, wearing handmade buckskin clothes and surviving harsh winters with firelight as his companion. "Cold nights and wet clothes taught me more than any classroom ever could," he said. He paddled 1,000 miles down the Mississippi, walked the entire Appalachian Trail, and kayaked Alaska's icy coasts. Yet his adventures were not for thrill. They were lessons. He believed that humans were meant to live in harmony with nature, not apart from it. These early years shaped the double life he would later live, one between wilderness and civilization. Outwardly, he was a man of the wild. Inwardly, a philosopher searching for balance. He learned that the world's truest wisdom wasn't found in books, but in the quiet rhythm of the earth itself. But as Eustace learned how to survive off the land, a new journey was about to begin, one that would set him on a collision course with society, laws, and the modern world's demands. The path to Turtle Island. After leaving the forests of his teenage years, Eustace Conway entered classrooms and books, but he never left the wild behind. In 1979, he enrolled at Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. While most students settled into dorms and routines, Eustace built a teepee near campus. He cooked over fire, slept on handmade mats, and studied anthropology and English by lantern light. He later said, "Comfort never taught me anything. The fire did." Eustace balanced two educations at once. Inside lecture halls, he studied human cultures, early economies, and history. Outside, he practiced survival daily. He graduated with honors in anthropology and English in 1984, proving discipline mattered more than conformity. "Knowledge means nothing if you cannot live it," he believed. During these years, his skills deepened. He mastered fire-making by friction, tracking, hunting, and foraging across Appalachian forests. He crafted bows, arrows, and stone tools, worked wood by hand, and trained horses for travel and labor. He also learned from indigenous communities in the southeastern United States. From them, he absorbed values of balance, respect, and sustainability. By the early 80s, Eustace began speaking publicly. Universities and outdoor groups invited him to teach primitive skills and environmental ethics. Audiences saw a calm educator with unusual knowledge. Few saw his private reality. By day he taught, by night he lived the lessons. In 1987, he bought his first land in Boone, North Carolina. Forests, streams, and meadows surrounded it. This was not property. It was purpose. The land marked the beginning of a living vision, one that would soon test him far beyond the classroom. Buying land was simple. Turning it into a living vision and sustaining it against growing modern pressure was far more complex. Building Turtle Island. In 1987, Eustace Conway bought his first land in Boone, North Carolina. It was not just land, it was the start of a vision. Over the next 15 years, he slowly expanded it into the 1,000-acre Turtle Island Preserve. This place was built as a living classroom where people could learn how humans once survived with skill, patience, and respect for nature. Every path, fence, and shelter served a purpose. Eustace built Turtle Island entirely by hand. He harvested his own materials and raised 9 log buildings without modern machines. Each structure reflected careful planning and long hours of labor. Winters were brutal. Snow often reached 2 feet, and temperatures dropped below zero. Days began before sunrise and ended long after dark. He chopped wood, fed animals, repaired tools, and protected the land. Meals were simple and rushed. Still, he accepted the hardship. In 1999, he said, "Life is simple if you know what you need." Animals were partners at Turtle Island. Horses, mules, and bulls pulled logs, plowed fields, and carried supplies. On horseback, Eustace crossed the United States from east coast to west in 103 days, relying only on animal power. The journey was a statement, not a spectacle. In 2001, he said, "Working with animals teaches you patience no machine can." Teaching was central to the preserve. Students came from across the country to learn firemaking, blacksmithing, basket weaving, and traditional farming. Lessons were physical and demanding. In 1995, Eustace explained, "You don't learn by watching, you learn by doing." By 2002, Turtle Island drew national attention after Elizabeth Gilbert published The Last American Man. Fame followed, but pressure grew. Rules, inspections, and modern expectations loomed. As the world closed in, Eustace's way of life faced its greatest test. While his work gained admiration, the world was moving faster, and soon, Eustace's primitive dream would be tested by society's rules and laws. The mountain man exposed. By 2002, Turtle Island Preserve had earned national recognition, but Eustace Conway's life was about to take a dramatic turn. The History Channel approached him to join Mountain Men, a reality TV series that showcased individuals living off the grid. For millions of viewers, Eustace appeared fearless, rugged, and utterly free. Cameras captured him splitting firewood, mending fences, milking cows, and storing food for winter. Each day seemed like an adventure, each task a lesson in old-world survival. But the reality behind the screen was far more complex. Turtle Island was not a set built for entertainment. It was a functioning ecosystem requiring meticulous care. Feeding livestock, maintaining off-grid electricity, repairing log buildings, and ensuring water systems worked demanded long hours and expert skill. People think it's easy. It's not just chopping wood or riding horses. It's constant planning, constant thinking, Eustace explained in 2007. Bills and supplies had to be managed while keeping students safe and projects on schedule. The preserve was a living organism, and he was its constant caretaker. Legal challenges soon emerged. In 2012, North Carolina health and building inspectors discovered over 20 unpermitted structures on Turtle Island, including cabins, storage buildings, and improvised sanitation systems. Authorities deemed them unsafe and ordered the preserve closed to the public. Eustace fought back, calling the enforcement unfair. "They don't understand this isn't a typical building. It's a way of life," he said. The crackdown brought weeks of stress, constant phone calls, and hours of paperwork, exposing him to a side of life no television audience could see. Later that year, a property dispute escalated. During a boundary disagreement with a neighboring landowner, Eustace was arrested for alleged trespassing. The incident made headlines, painting a picture of defiance and conflict. Yet, in April 2013, the charges were dismissed for lack of evidence. While the cameras had captured his rugged persona, they could not capture the emotional toll of legal uncertainty. "Living like this isn't rebellion. It's survival and respect for land," he said quietly. The legal scrutiny triggered legislative action. In June 2013, North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory signed House Bill 774, exempting primitive structures like those at Turtle Island from conventional building codes. It was a rare victory for alternative living advocates, acknowledging that sustainability and tradition sometimes conflicted with modern law. "We didn't ask for fame. We just wanted to live responsibly and teach others," Eustace said after the law passed. Behind the television fame, the hidden reality persisted. Maintaining Turtle Island demanded constant negotiation with officials, risk management, and defense of property rights. Fame painted a picture of effortless self-reliance, yet stress, conflict, and exhaustion were constant companions. Every day, he balanced cameras, students, animals, and inspectors, all while preserving the philosophy that had guided him since childhood. Mountain men brought attention, admiration, and even financial support, but it also revealed the limits of freedom in a regulated world. The dream of total independence clashed with laws, neighbors, and bureaucracy, showing that primitive life was never simple, no matter how polished it looked on TV. Fame and law had tested his mission, but the true test was deeper: the personal toll of a lifetime of isolation, endless labor, and the fight to keep his vision alive. The cost of the wild. By 2013, Eustace Conway had survived legal battles, public pressure, and years of physical strain. Turtle Island Preserve was still standing, but the question had changed. It was no longer only about survival. Instead, it became about endurance. How long could one man carry the full weight of a living system built on discipline, tradition, and daily labor? Succession became a quiet struggle. Eustace often spoke about slowing down and preparing others to continue the work. Yet Turtle Island had always been guided by his hand, his rules, and his vision. He believed order came from responsibility, not comfort. "This place works only if people give everything they have," he once said. Teaching others to lead without losing the core values proved difficult. Trust was earned slowly, and authority was not easily shared. In 2017, loss struck deeply. Preston Roberts, a longtime collaborator and close friend, died. Preston had helped build Turtle Island, teach students, and share the workload for years. His absence changed the rhythm of daily life. Morale dropped. Leadership pressure increased. Eustace carried grief quietly while still managing land, animals, and students. "When someone like that is gone, the land feels heavier," he said during a later talk at the preserve. The physical toll became harder to ignore. Decades of hauling logs, plowing fields, riding horses, and sleeping in basic shelters left marks on his body. Cold winters, limited rest, and constant motion wore him down. Even so, the work never stopped. Gardens still needed tending, livestock still needed care. Tools broke and had to be fixed by hand. "If you rest too long, the land reminds you who's in charge," he said with calm honesty. The hidden reality of his double life became clearer with time. To the public, Eustace remained the symbol of freedom and simplicity. To himself, life was measured in effort, sacrifice, and careful balance. Bills had to be paid, supplies had to be sourced. Tuition from students and speaking events kept the preserve running. His estimated net worth remained modest, around $300,000 by 2025, a figure that surprised many fans. It reflected not failure, but choice. He invested in land, not luxury. Psychological pressure followed him daily. Defending his worldview required constant explanation. Many admired him, others questioned his methods. Technology advanced rapidly around him, while his message stayed rooted in the past. "Living close to the earth isn't easy. It was never meant to be," he said. Still, he continued teaching, believing effort itself held meaning. Despite fatigue, Eustace did not retreat fully. He adjusted. He taught fewer students at a time. He focused on quality over scale. He chose to preserve the heart of Turtle Island rather than expand it. Not because the work was done, but because endurance demanded wisdom. Not just strength, but restraint. The double life had a price. One side showed freedom, beauty, and purpose. The other showed isolation, loss, and unending responsibility. Yet both were real. Both shaped him. And even now, as years pass, Eustace Conway remains committed to the same belief he formed as a boy in the woods. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.